You're right.
Yeah, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Great to see you. Thank you for joining
Of
us.
course.
How the Sidemen do it. What a year.
What a year! What a year! Yeah, we've had a really interesting year. I think this is we call it our breakout year. We've been doing it for 13 years soon. The boys have at least. I've been with them for 5. This year we decided to fully go into the streamer landscape. We also did Wembley, where we just saw a picture up on the last presentation for the Sidemen charity match, and doubled down on launching our own production company.
Yeah.
So it's been a really big year.
And you sold out Wembley, by the way.
We sold at Wembley in an hour and 47 minutes. So 91,000 tickets. But yeah, that crazy. Taylor Swift beat us, but
Right.
it's like this happens.
And well, listen. We're going to talk about your approach to creating formats, because this is something that you guys have perfected. One of the leaders in the world of digital first when it comes to creating formats that really work. First of all, let's have a look at. You might have seen this, but let's have a look at Inside USA. We've got a clip coming up here right now.
Are you sure we're in the right place?
Yeah, but you can't trust anything the Sidemen say.
Hello?
Hey, yo!
Here we go.
What does button do?
Welcome, Vital and Valkyrie. Inside is coming to America.
Does he always talk like that?
Yeah, this is like his thing.
7 days, 12 insiders, and the prize
Let me
fund.
guess. A briefcase with $1 million.
If you look to your right, you'll see a briefcase with $1 million.
Is that real?
Yeah, they got the money.
But every time the insiders are tempted, money comes out of the pot. So, I want you to make sure they spend and spend and spend. Bring me back as much money as possible.
We get the picture.
Inside USA, let's do this!
Right.
Yeah, fantastic. And just to tell us a little bit about the success, first of all, before we get into a little bit about development. But yeah, give us some sort of bullet points on how well it's performed, and a little bit of the story of where Inside started from.
Yeah. So we work with core missions every year. So everyone who works at the company is assigned 75% you work your mission that you're given individually, and then 25% of your time should be spent on whatever the core mission for the year is. And in 2022, it was to revive all the channels and get them to a place where they have real structure and departments functioning around them. 23 was to get charity match to where we wanted it to be. 24, we said we need to diversify and understand what does it mean to not only have creators upload YouTube videos, but what would it look like if we took our stab at a format. So the very broad idea was, what does Big Brother look like for Gen Z? So we sat down, and then there were 2 things that we came up with. One was this campaign that I heralded within the company, which is a company of average age 24, 50 people in London, 90 across the world, which was offensive on purpose. Everything that you decide on has to be offensive. Whatever the decision is, if it's going to be production time, it's going to be editing time, it's going to be how we build a set, everything has to be offensive. So we had pre-production for 30 days, we shot for 7, and we edited in 9. That then went live on the 10th day, so 8 episodes in 9 days. And after 10 days of release, we had 55 million views on the first season. At that point, we got pinged by basically all of the streamers. And that was when we sat down, had conversations with the different actors in the space, and we explained to them, like, we really had no fucking idea what we were doing. And they were like, yeah, so the story production must have been so good. And I'm like, didn't have one of those. So we sat down with Netflix at that point, and they gave us the opportunity to sign a multi-season deal, where we were going to start building out what this looked like if it wasn't so offensive. So we were going to find this middle ground, and the idea was like, let's take what we have learned from our world and what you have learned from your world and try to find the middle spot. So we have released this year the UK first season on Netflix, which is our second season, so to speak, looking away from the first season. So UK season 1/season 2, if you want to call it that, and then our American season, which went live a month ago. And the first one went live in the spring. They told us that they wanted to move that release to a specific week because there was a Meghan Markle documentary going out, and we were worried that they were going to outperform us. So they put us instead on this week with a show called Adolescence. Yeah, so that was really nice of them. They didn't know what that was going to do either, but obviously, yeah, we ended up being number 2 on the rankings across Europe, the Nordics, and the UK. And then when we released the American season about a month and a half ago now, we claimed number 1 on Netflix with that one. So it's been a trial and error for sure, but it's also been a question of finding out what it's like to make a format in the TV space using digital first and like YouTube rules, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when we spoke recently. We had a chat for TellyCast, and you talked about putting the fun back into creating formats and into TV essentially. I mean, can you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, no, I've been having like real struggles with TV because I mean we met at MIPCOM and I didn't know what MIPCOM was, so someone called me on Saturday and said, "You want to go to Cannes?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah." Yeah, so it was and MIPCOM's great. Everyone knows everyone. There's like champagne everywhere. So that I'm quite good with. But TV in general, it felt like anyone who worked in niche short films, big Hollywood productions, anyone who was making anything that was artsy was being hailed as some form of heralds of entertainment, and anyone who worked in unscripted was almost like you're selling out and you're doing lower tier content. On YouTube, it's the opposite, right? All of us are unscripted creators, and all of us only have like our talent that is essentially also unscripted, but they are being considered great creatives that are coming up with formats and stuff. So when we started looking at unscripted and TV and we were confused, I think, because what we wanted it to be was it's so much fucking fun to go and make a show, but it feels like when you release it, you're living this world in the traditional sense where you have to wait for a commission. If you don't get it, oh God, now we're not going to hit our targets, and everything feels like a must deliver or we will be in trouble. For us, it's like, if it doesn't work, then we'll fuck it off and we'll try something else. Like, that's kind of our approach. So what we wanted to do is like find people in the TV space, bring them into us and say, here's how we do it here. It's going to be new for you. Like, if you want to book a meeting, you can probably just talk to me. Like, I don't know. So we really wanted it to be about someone who felt they were tired of having to chase something that we couldn't make sense of, and instead say, last week we made a show where we tried to throw straws into a jar. Yeah, so could you produce that? Like, what, yeah, and then Adam recently joined us, and he's been on documentaries and films and worked at NOAA before, and he just kind of was like shook at how dumb everything was, I think. And we were like, yep, dumb works well on YouTube. It's the idea of keeping it simple stupid, I guess, but like even more dumbed down. So for me, it was like, anyone who comes and works on these, please come with the idea that it can be fun and be fucking proud of what you create, I think was also a big thing for me. But now I'm still confused because everywhere I go, it's like I just get told that I'm making YouTube videos. So yeah, well, it's the journey. It's the journey.
Well, let's talk about Inside again for a second, and I'm going to go to a question that's come through.
Yeah.
How do you balance calculated risk with formats that are similar to existing IP? For example, Inside similarity to Big Brother. You talked about Big Brother for Gen Z. Is it better to? It's just gone. It's just gone off there. But is it better to just put it together and put it out, and or do you have to? Is the conversation with rights holders, or how do you navigate that sort of friction between what's already existing in the TV space and what you're creating for Gen Z?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just putting it together and throwing it out there. Like I said, when we did that, we shot it in 7 days and released it over the course of 7. Then and editing took 9 days or whatever. If it's fun, then we can trial it. So we knew that if we we didn't even put it on our main channel, right? We put it on our second channel. That's where the show lived. So when we look at rights holders or stakeholders in general, when it comes to formats, Big Brother is boring because the people who make Big Brother don't want to make Big Brother. We were like, if we don't make this and it's not the best thing we've ever done, then we're not going to be happy to put it out. And I mean, to the point where like I would go to the Sidemen and go like, "Ooh, you've dropped more than £1 million into this now." They're like, "Yeah, who cares?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, I do." So like I run the P&L for your company. So it'd be great if we do believe in it and we want to push it out. But they were very like against the idea that we were making this show. They felt like, we don't make reality TV. Why would it succeed? We make what we make. And I was like, I truly think that because of how much you love making videos, that will translate. So I think that we just try to put things together, small tweaks, little twists, whatever it may be, and then we put it out there to see if it works. And I promise you, if we had not gotten the viewership and the reception that we got from that first season, it would have been killed Monday morning, and we would just moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
That is what it would have been. Yeah.
So, looking at how many formats are you developing? Ongoing. I mean, take us through what that looks like in terms of that format development machine at Sidemen Entertainment.
Yeah. So I mean, as I said, the company's average age is 24. So we have a pizza crew that kind of just orders pizza and sits down in the studio, and they come up with ideas constantly, which are either stupid, fun, whatever it may be. We have a rule which is kind of like avoid all experts. Just don't get anyone who has an expert in their title in the room. Just get a bunch of people who have made YouTube videos, or they came out of uni and they had a bunch of party games they come up with. Like, just put them in a room and see what happens. And then we have a rule which is every pitch has to be a single sentence, like a YouTube title. So it is. Throw tiny items into a jar. That's the show. Or recently we did a big production we did last year was like hide and seek, but the island is full of smoke, and we didn't know if that was going to work. And another one was, how about no one pisses for 24 hours? We're like, it's super simple. And then what we did was we got a bunch of the youngest, this guy called Finn and a woman called Martha. So he just brought all of his friends. Instead of pre-drinks, they just had pre-drinks, but no wee breaks. And then they saw how long it would take until someone needed to wee. And it's 8 hours. I was like, then I realized there's like health and safety. There was like, they had to call an ambulance, they said. So I was like, that's not great. But we worked that out now. So now we have paperwork in place. But we sit around in a room and avoid experts and avoid anything in the starting of it. And they just play around for hours every other week. And then we go to someone who has done formats, and they poke holes in it, and they go like, well, this doesn't work. We're like, oh, great. So now I've hired a bunch of people who have children and stuff. So they then poke holes in what the children make. So that's what we're doing. Almost for all of it. So Inside is the exact same thing. So Inside format is Big Brother adding in a sort of like shop format, and like using creators who obviously shouldn't be paying £15,000 for a cappuccino, but they are. So we all hate that they do it. I read when we released the British one, The Guardian wrote a review of it, and there was this beautiful sentence that we now have plastered on the wall, which says, the review, I can't recall his name, but he said, never in my life have I ever seen a collection of people that I hate more than these people. And I was like, fuck me, that hit home. Like, that we've done something good here. Yeah, so what I was going to say, sorry, was that there was a bunch of challenges in that show. And those come from exclusively these kids coming up with stuff in a room. We also realized that there's a bunch of like challenge producers in TV formats. But if you haven't like done the rounds or put X amount of years in, you don't really get to make anything. So at one of the after parties we had, there's this guy called Charlie who walked up to me quite intoxicated. I was also intoxicated. What the fuck am I talking about? And he was just like, bro, I should make challenges. So, okay, pitch them to me. And I don't have them now. And it's like, we're right around Christmas. So he goes back. And then over Christmas, I get an email with like 10 ideas. And I said, what'd you do? Oh, well, I'm a runner on Squid Game, The Challenge or something. So we just hired him, and I made him like challenge director or something. And now he just makes challenges. So, but he's 23. And he's come up with all of them for this season. So like, that's great. Yeah. So it's kind of like trial and error, put it together, see what happens, see if it works, and then get people with real experience to poke holes at what you do, but don't bring them in from the get-go.
And we've spoken briefly about this before, but isn't there a grand kind of development pot for ideas, or tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we say that we have about 200 formats in this collection, and we kind of tap into them, and a lot of it is like taking one format and another format, and you put them together. So like you saw this one here, the train video, Stop the Train. That is basically Mr. Beast's video, where instead of like throwing a train into a fire pit, we just keep it running, and if they don't complete the challenges before the fire pit, then That is what happens. So the combining the two, we did the same thing with a lot of our stuff. So like race across the country, but you can't use fuel, and then use fuel would be what we would put in. So a cooking show with fuel, okay, that doesn't work. And then you keep going. So the big grand one is essentially tapping into like these 200 formats, and we kind of create different genres, so travel, sports, same as you saw here, cooking, whatever it may be, and then we try to place them over the year as we release.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got one or two questions coming in here, which is kind of interesting. I mean, you talked. How long Sidemen been going now?
So as a company, we say we've been running for 5 years here now, but as creators, they've been going for 12.
And as a creator collective for 12.
Creator Collective from 2017, 2018, when they started producing as a group.
Yeah. So there's a question here, which is an interesting one. How long did it take take the Sidemen to become successful stroke break even? Should traditional TV studios branching into digital expect it to take time? So I think there's two questions there. And I suppose the idea of breaking even when you're a creator is, well, talk us through that, because obviously it's a collective of different creators coming together.
Yeah, and the Sidemen, because of how they were operating at the time when I came in, they had no staff, so they were profitable because they were making everything themselves, right? And they were living off of the CPMs and RPMs that were provided at the time. That doesn't mean that they were like profitable to the point where they could operate like a company. So the answer is they had always been profitable. And my job when I came in, I mean, I can be quite transparent. The idea was to try and 4x the company within a 2-year span. That was essentially what the goal was. And we have put things in place. If you look at the external productions like Inside, or you take the charity match, obviously that's not a profitable thing because take all the profits and give it to charity, but making it still a profitable event that can generate that sort of money was a core goal. And then finding out how much money, we have this another key rule, which is how much does a laugh cost? And that is like the key leading thing for all of our video productions. So if I invest, I can take a video as an example. One of our more Sidemen videos that did quite well not too long ago is a precision test video. The entire production for that was £895 all in. It has 3 million views now. It's made significantly more. The profit margins for us are super healthy, of course, because we've been very clever. We know how to do it. And then the second question here is, should you come into it thinking you're going to be profitable? No. You're a mega conglomerate with X amount of budgets. You have a headcount that's probably way too big already. I was on an interview recently. They asked me, what's the first thing you would do if you took over this company? I said, slash the hire the staff in half. So I think that it's not a question of profitability. It's a question about discoverability, being part of the culture, being part of the conversation. And you can't put a price on that. So if you come in with this saying, oh, we need to come up with a video that's really profitable and it's going to get 2 million views, you're going to fail.
So the idea of, we've heard the term "think like a creator," that a lot of people in the TV industry have been talking about, how businesses need to approach digital first. But basically, what you're saying is thinking like a creator is like sack everybody but one person, and that one person becomes the creator.
Suck everyone in a suit. Keep all the people who are making stuff. Get key strategists in who can lead. Get passionate people who want to make it go where it needs to go. Don't invite anyone who shouldn't have creative control into meetings where they think they can exercise creative control. I don't get to be in the meetings with Sidemen anymore. They think I'm too boring now, which is completely fine because how many YouTube videos have I made? So I think it's more don't thinking like a creator means thinking about the format first and what you're producing, and then asking yourself, how do we make the best thing? And there are people who are doing this very well. We saw some of the best people in Europe here and across the world. But if you look at someone like Mr. Beast, or you look at someone like us, we obviously are deciding to invest a lot of money back into this to challenge the status quo or the entertainment sector. But there are YouTubers who are doing incredibly smart formats on smaller channels and keeping super lean. And you have breakout stars out of Inside, like George Clarkey now on Strictly. His live stream costed nothing to make, but he's now generating 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 concurrent viewers on that one. He's been clever with how he approaches like everything else. So it's about being clever with what you do and intentional. That is more the thinking like a creator.
So, final question, because we're running out of time already, and we could do a whole hour. And
I would love an hour.
Yeah, it's my fault. I programmed the timings on this, so where you can blame me. Two final questions. Process with the boys. So, I mean, how involved are they? And how does that work? Because you talked about, development teams, kids coming in doing challenges, head of challenges, etc. You're recruiting, 22, 23-year-olds to, you know, to who are native when it comes to platform native when it comes to YouTube. But how are the boys now involved in that development process?
Yeah, in an incredibly massive way, and it is probably the harshest thing of it because you have 7 creative directors that make calls across everything, right? I talk about this all the time. They do as well. We lead a direct democracy. It's like a steadfast rule we have. Anything that anyone wants to do at any point, any of the sidemen can scream vote, and then if 4 people vote yes, then the other 3 have to accept and go along and do it. So with Inside, we created this system, which I heavily advise you all to not do if you ever work with creators. We thought it was a good idea. It was not a good idea, but it is a good idea because it does give the best product at the end of the day, but it's very tough to handle. So we set up a live stream of the house to their homes so that they could sit at home and live feedback. And we have a reactive producer that then, so they say suddenly, you know what would be funny? A puppy. And then we go like, listen, Finn, you're going to have to find a puppy real quick. And then he runs out and finds a puppy. And then 45 minutes later, there's a puppy that gets put in the store. And then someone screams, health and safety. And we're like, what? And then the puppy's in the store. So it's like they are live chatting and changing the format continuously. That's how involved they are in Inside, for example. With the main channel, the Sidemen Sunday that drops every Sunday, they are the sole creative producers on that and utilize the team as an asset. We do not produce the ideas. We do not. They work in tandem with the creative team. So I'm happy that they have maybe taken more of a step back on like the day-to-day operations of the company so that they could fully focus on purely the creative execution and that they are still completely involved in.
Okay, fantastic. So last question,
Yeah.
promise.
No, you don't have
Well, you talked about, you know, Inside. Well, let's talk about, end on Inside. When's next season coming then? I mean, you talked about multi show deal or multi-series deal. I mean, when are we seeing 3rd season?
Yeah, so UK season 3, I mean, they haven't promised me that I will get to do it, but, you know, I'm hoping I get to do it. My hope is that we're releasing the next season of UK in early spring, late spring, somewhere in Q1 next year.
Right. Have you started production yet?
We are in conversations. Let's
Right.
call it that. We're in a good place. We wanted to feel fresh and new. So there are things that we want to do to it, and we also wanted to have a home where it can be perfectly received and distributed. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Victor, thank you so much for joining us. And maybe we do it next year again, and we'll do a full hour then, and
Jesus
we'll get into the weeds of stuff.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you so much. Please give it up for
Thanks everyone.